then we got Matt, Povall, Frikkie de Kok, that's Funnel, Megan, Nicole. Okay, and Jenny Demmer, you remember her? So these are questions that were asked on previous videos, and now we're going to be able to see what Madam has to say to answer them. All right.
Cheers!
Ragged with Kristie.
Not coffee, it's afternoon.
That time of the day, it's been a long day, hey? How is it going? Thursday today, what's today? The 7th
Feels
or
like
8th?
Monday again.
Yeah. 7th or 8th of May, hey? Around about there?
Yes, yeah. It's been very busy. Swarming season in the Midlands is in full force. So our teams are running, they're playing hot seats in the vans.
Crazy,
so, yeah.
All three vehicles are still out. So, yeah.
We're having a beer.
Yeah. Anyway, so what we thought we'd do today is go along and do a bit of Q&A. Some people have posted questions on the previous videos. Okay. And the last one I did let you know what it was because of you needed to bring a little something with you. But the others you're not too clued up on at this stage. So we'll see what you have to say
like
to the questions.
Okay. Okay. I like it.
So these are questions that were asked on previous videos, and now we're going to be able to see what Madam has to say to answer them. All right. So the first question we got was the Colin, or I think it's spelled right. The Colin.
K, is it with a K?
Yeah.
Colon.
The colon.
Colon.
Okay. Thank you very much for your question. It says here, we remember we did that video with the hard beetle traps. You know, those little ones that you insert into the frame.
That you put oil in and all that, yeah?
100%. He said, did you know that if you put apple cider vinegar and oil mixed inside of them, they go ballistic for that. Those hard beetles go nuts. So
I think what that is, it's that smell of fermentation that vinegar gives off, I'm sure, yeah. The only concern I would have is I've got a friend who actually used hive beetle traps in her hive, and she had lots of hive beetle moving into her super, so she placed some up near the super. And it just had cooking oil in, clean, normal cooking oil, and all of her honey tasted like cooking oil.
Oh, really? Was it second-hand cooking oil?
No, it was new.
Oh.
But it just had an oil aftertaste.
Okay.
So you've got to be very careful if you're using a hive trap or a beetle trap inside your hive when your hive is in honey production. You've got to be very careful of the smells. And that vinegar cider smell,
it's quite strong, yeah.
It's quite strong, and it might...
But it's a brilliant idea.
It's a fantastic idea. And I think especially if you just have a brood chamber.
Okay.
And especially as we're moving into the colder months now, your hives start to reduce. The hive beetle numbers start increasing because the bees are not on high alert anymore. But another option is just to use the same little cloth. Let me quickly grab one and I can show you. So the other option is to simply buy a roll of these. And what you do is you pull one of these off and you fold it into a nice tight little square and place that on top of your brood frames.
Yeah. So we did a video with that?
Yeah, we did a video on this, and this is our go-to. We used to use hundreds and thousands of those beetle traps, and often the oil is messy, your hands are full of gloves, which are sometimes sticky.
Your hands are full of gloves.
Yeah, like especially if you have small hands and big gloves. So this is actually a much easier option.
And 10 times cheaper.
10 times cheaper, no mess, no fuss. You can buy it anywhere.
Yeah. So we do have those hive beetle traps, so that those that really want them can order it from the shop or online.
And we've got two different types. We've got the disposable and we've got the reusable.
But this is still your first recommendation.
This is my first recommendation, and you literally pull it out the hive when it's full of beetles and chuck it away. You're
not getting any kickbacks on this from the company.
I wish. Can you imagine? I'd make so much money. No kickbacks, and a lot of people keep telling me to stop selling these as a beetle trap because I'm not making any money on the hive beetle traps that we do sell. But at the end of the day, it's what works.
It works so damn well,
that's what we want to be doing.
So while we're still on that topic, you had Jenny Demmer. You remember her?
Yes.
Yeah, good friend of yours.
Yes.
Okay. So Jenny went along and said she would be very interested to see the follow-up after we did the video of placing those into the hive.
Okay.
Okay, so we could maybe do a dedicated video to that, but we have had on other occasions where the guys have taken it out of the hive.
We must actually just highlight one of those videos where we've got here's what it looks like after we've used it, and here's us putting a new one in.
Okay.
But we have got guys up in an area where I know we have a serious problem with hive beetle. We'll see if the guys can get some videos of that.
Fantastic. Yeah. And what we'll do is if we find any videos for you, Jenny, related to these traps, these hive beetle traps going inside the hive, we'll put it in the description of this video, and you can go and have a look at them and see what it looks like. Good.
Yum.
Okay, so this is our mead. Anyone that doesn't know, Braggot.
Oh, mead, eh? Yo, Brian's had a full one already.
Braggot.
So this is a collaboration that we are doing with Clockwork Breweries.
And you would recommend that for other beekeepers to do the same?
Yes, definitely. You know what the thing is? I love collaborations because everyone has their thing that they are the best at.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be as good as Megan and Clockwork Breweries at making beer. Let's face it. She's got I don't even know how many years of experience, how many awards she's got, but they are really one of the top class beer makers in KZN.
Yeah.
Why must I now try and make
Imagine try and learn from scratch how to make beer.
No, rather do collabs. So Megan, we gave her some of our honey, and so she makes the Braggot for us, and we both try and market it and sell it. So everyone's working towards the same goal, and it's great.
So basically, beekeepers can contact your local craft brew in your area and ask them if they would be prepared to make a batch of Braggot for you. You give them the honey and work out who's going to do what cost and how you're going to work it out.
So we get some of the Braggot for the honey that we've given in, 100%. And then anything over and above that, we buy. Easy peasy.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen it already, where do you have this?
So I know that they stock Hillcrest Spar in KZN. I'm not quite sure of the other breweries. We'll actually find out from Megan Gemmell.
Who else is stocking it?
Yes, who else is stocking it? But you can definitely get it at our shop in the Nottingham Road shop. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Netherwood.
Netherwood. Yes. Okay. The Honey and Mead Bar at Netherwood.
That's right.
Nottingham Road. Fantastic.
I'll be there tomorrow, by the way.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll post a couple of links in the description. We're going to do Clockwork Breweries. We're going to do the Honey and Mead Bar.
We'll do some of these video links, maybe.
Yeah, Clockwork Breweries. So have a look and see in the description.
Okay, next question.
All right. Okay. So we got Sunil Megan.
Yes.
Sunil Megan. Okay. Would you recommend putting a super on at this time of the year if the brood box is full of bees?
So that's kind of a loaded question.
I know everyone asks it. Hey? Like all
it's not about how many bees are in the box. It's about your immediate vicinity. Is there a flow imminent?
Yeah.
If not, you shouldn't have a super on. Yeah. We are moving into the colder months of the year, so the queen is going to reduce her laying because there'll be a lot less food available. The bees become a little bit more sluggish. They don't get up quite as early, don't get working as early, and they're often back home a lot earlier. So I'm not answering the question. I know that. I'm sorry, because there's no yes or no. It very much depends on your area and what's happening. This year, in my experience, everything is 1 month later than what we experienced last year.
For our area, yeah.
For all our areas in KwaZulu-Natal. The Brazilian peppers started a month late. The blue gums is actually a month and a bit late. So I would say we're going to have problems with areas where there are flows. The honey's going to crystallize before we're able to spin it.
So let's give a general guideline. If Sunil is in a flow area now, would you say, and she's got a strong brood box and she's in a flow, should she put a super on?
What I would say is the easiest way to tell if you're in a flow or not is if you start seeing new comb being built.
Okay.
So if you see new comb is being built,
yellow or white,
put a super on.
Okay.
If there's no new comb being built, no matter how many bees are in the brood chamber, do not put a super on.
Or if it now become jam-packed and they start building on the lid. Don't know. Asking you, tell me.
If they're building new comb, you can put a super on.
Fantastic.
If they're not building any new comb, don't put a super.
Maybe she can contact us.
Yes. Contact us and tell us where you are, and we can give you
more details. Yeah.
More specific information.
And maybe, if our team's in the area or we in the area, we can actually pop in and have a look.
If you're in the US, you might have to send us a ticket.
Yeah. So if you're in Cape Town, let us know because we're on the way to Cape Town.
Yes, we're going to Cape Town.
In what, 7 days?
Yes.
Fantastic. I love it. Yeah. Okay.
Cool. We'll talk about that a bit later.
Okay. So,
I'm cheating here, looking at the questions.
Frikkie de Kok. All right. He said, how did this go? That's where I asked you to bring those cartridges.
Oh, okay. So a year ago, we put some little cartridges in a hive to test how it would work. Now, obviously, we've harvested that quite a while back, but we've started on certain of our sites. We have at least one of those frames in each hive.
Okay.
And this is the result. So we have these beautifully packaged little honeycombs. in their little boxes. These will still be packaged further into other boxes and things.
Little neat boxes.
Neat
but
boxes.
That's
so you basically get 4. Sealed. Yeah, you get 4. If you vacuum seal it, we found it squashes the comb.
Okay.
So so it's not vacuum sealed, but look how pretty that is.
How long does that last? I mean, there was someone talking about a trick of freezing it and then unfreezing it or something like that.
Okay, so if you freeze honey, it will not granulate. It's kind of one of those weird things. It doesn't make sense.
But if it goes cold,
it'll granulate. So you want to keep it
either frozen
or warm. Yeah, weird.
Yeah.
Okay, but the best way to keep honeycomb is actually in the deep freeze.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. But the honeycomb like that does have a limited lifespan in terms of keeping it presentable for clients.
Yeah, presentable for clients is limited. I mean, as soon as it's wet and the honey spilt all over,
then it's done.
Then it's kind of done.
Yeah, then you go along and just crush it out and fine. Okay, fantastic. Fricky, I hope that answers your question.
Thanks for the question, Fricky. How cool.
All right. And then we've got Matt. Overall, what causes bees to swarm outside the hive like this? Remember we posted it was just a photograph of a hive with all the bees down the side.
Oh, like that monster hive.
That monster hive. We called it monster hive.
Okay.
So just to give you a background on it, was when the guys, our team, went to go and service that hive, the client said that no one's touched that hive in at least a year, they think.
Possibly longer, yeah.
So Matt wanted to know what causes them to be all on the outside like that.
So invariably after a service, you'll always find the bees on the outer edge. Also, if you're in the middle of a service and you stop and you move away to do something, the bees will move to the top and create a barrier to protect the colony.
Okay.
So that outside bearding or whatever you want to call it, it's not really bearding. It's more
protection.
They're just protecting the entrance. They've been under a bit of stress. You've invaded their space. They're not quite sure what it is. And so they basically make a huge barrier of bees so that they on the alert. If something happens, they can defend very quickly.
We found when we do the removals, a similar type of action is that the bees move away from the area that you're working because they're scared they're going to get drowned in honey, especially if it's a very honey-bound
Often
hive.
They'll sit on a lamppost or a tree stump nearby.
They move up into the roof or whatever it may be, but they exit their comb. If it's a fairly dry hive, they tend to kind of just move on to the next frame of comb. Yeah. And this one that you're working on, they move off and you can get a chance to cut it off and everything like that. And then they cover that one. And then
often what happens also with a removal, as you're working, the queen will move to a higher spot.
Yeah, she goes
away. Yeah, she goes walkies. That's why it's so important when you're doing a removal that you make sure you get her, because she very quickly realizes things aren't great and she does a little walkie and often up high into the eaves where you can't actually reach her.
So you think you got the swarm. So I think that's also one of the questions, deviating off the topic slightly, but that is also often one of the reasons why if you don't have removal experience, you should rather either do it with a professional or someone that does it on a regular occasion, or rather leave it to someone that does it, because it is the behavior of bees changes completely when you're doing a removal compared to doing beekeeping as such.
I think the important thing is everyone needs to understand where their limits are, because at the end of the day, what some people sometimes forget is that we're working with a deadly creature.
Yeah.
So if things go wrong, are you prepared to take the risk of having someone's life on your conscience? I saw that. You stole my beer. But at the end of the day, for you, you might not be at risk if you get stung. But someone walking past, or if you do something wrong and the bees suddenly start going ballistic,
that's it.
It could be somebody's
and you'll be liable.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Well, I think that goes through the 5 questions that we had for this week. I think it worked out quite nicely.
Yeah.
We're going to do another video after this, so make sure you are subscribed to this channel. We're going to put out a video. What are we going to talk about?
So we need to talk a little bit about the recent honey competition which took place in the Free State that was judged by Enid Brown, who is a very highly qualified UK judge, and in fact she's a head judge for Apimondia as well. There was quite...
That's enough. That's enough.
Stay tuned. We'll see you later.
Bit of a topic, so listen up and have a look at the next video. We'll put it there.
Yeah. See you there. Bye.
Bye.
prepared to take the risk of having someone's life on your conscience. I saw that. You still might be.
Okay. Are you done?